I'm a photographer who has always wanted to photograph Route 66. In the year 2022, I covered the highway from Joliet, Illinois to Victorville, California. I skipped the Chicago and Los Angeles areas because I didn't want to fight the urban traffic, and there isn't much left to see of the Mother Road in those cities. I was more interested in the photography. I wasn't a person who wanted to say they drove the entire route. So this video is going to be about some of the photographic opportunities you can find along Route 66, and not so much about what I ate for lunch at some of the stops along the way. There are other YouTube videos that already do a good job of that. This video will cover Illinois, and I'll be putting out videos of the other states Route 66 goes through. I hope my video here will give you inspiration to discover Route 66 through a camera lens, and I'll provide some tips and insight for helping you in photographing Route 66. Okay, a fun place to photograph in Joliet is the old Joliet prison. It's open to the public, and depending on how much time you have, you can roam freely throughout the grounds or sign up for a guided tour. You can see some of the old cells, pass through death row, and also go inside the cells where prisoners waited for their execution date. And you can catch glimpses of what life was like on the inside. Portions of the property have been vandalized over time, and some renovations are taking place, so things could be dynamic as to what is accessible. There are other sites in Joliet that are well covered in other YouTube channels. My video is going to mostly focus on what you don't see in the other Route 66 presentations. Moving on from Joliet is Wilmington, Illinois, where the iconic Launching Pad restaurant is located. It was still closed for the season when I arrived in March, so make sure the diner will be open if it's a place you will want to visit. I was able to get one photograph of the inside by shooting through the window. Make sure to stop and visit the Polka Dot Drive-In in Braidwood. I was there during the day, but I think the photography would be much better at dusk when the lights and neon are turned on. A new addition to Route 66 is The Shop in Gardner. The owner runs a small business there, but he's turned it into a sort of man cave and enjoys people stopping in to talk, so feel free to stop by and knock on the door. Gardner also has an old stone jail for you history buffs, and there is a vintage diner on display giving tribute to Route 66. When you get to the town of Dwight, you'll want to check out the old Texaco gas station that's still there. The building faces west, so you'll have good light if you're there later in the day. Keep an eye out when passing through town for more old relics that you can photograph. When you get to Odell, Illinois, you'll definitely will want to stop and check out the old Standard Oil gas station. Pontiac, Illinois is a great place to do Route 66 photography. There are a number of painted wall murals around town. There are many fun street scenes, and even the modern buildings fit right into the Route 66 experience. Pontiac has several museums you may want to visit, and there can be some interesting scenery outside of town too. I only have a couple of images here from Genoa, but there is a lot of potential if you have the time to check out the town. If you keep an eye out, you might spy a few old cars rusting away. When you get to Lexington, Illinois, make sure to stop and check out the old Oasis Drive-In, as it's very easy to miss and drive by. It's a relic from the past, and I haven't seen anyone mention it in other videos. It was always fun for me finding these pieces of Route 66 history. If you take some time to explore around the town, you might find some interesting things to photograph. There's a lot more to see than just the photographs I'm showing you here. Sprague's Super Service, it's in Normal, Illinois, and it's a popular stop on Route 66. The towns of Atlanta and Lincoln, they are well covered in other videos, but you will want to let your camera roam a bit in order to catch some of the other history people driving through never notice or stop to see. In Broadwell, Illinois, everyone says to stop and see the sign marking the location of the Pig Hip. The diner burned down years ago, and a sign doesn't make for a good photograph. However, there is an old motel there. If you cross the highway and drive around the residential area, you might find a few sites worthy of photographing. Make sure to slow down and drive around Elkhart, Illinois for a little while. It's a wonderful place to take your camera, and if the shops are open, you might want to take some time to browse through the small commercial area. Elkhart is another town that is unfortunately overlooked in the other Route 66 travel videos. Williamsville will also be a stop for your camera. You might see some old trucks too as you pass through. In Springfield, Illinois, the Cozy Dog is a Route 66 icon. You should be able to get great photography at Motorhead's Bar and Grill, both inside and out. The Capitol building is in Springfield along with some other state facilities. The Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum is a place you history buffs will want to stop and see. Lincoln's home and tomb are also available for touring. There's a Route 66 museum in Litchfield, but you'll want to take your camera to the west side of town to photograph the old Belvedere Motel. Soulsby's service station in Mount Olive is a good stop for your camera. There's a street light and a store that lights up the scene, which makes for good night photography. Make sure to bring your tripod if doing photography in the evening light. Staunton, Girard, and Carlinsville. I found them to be fun for photographing small town America. There is plenty to photograph in these towns, and I'm not doing them justice by throwing out only a handful of images. It was unfortunate I didn't have more time when I was passing through. My last stop in Illinois was in Livingston, where the Pink Elephant Antique Mall is located. There are a lot of fun things to photograph here, and it is well covered in other Route 66 videos. If you've been looking at other videos and resources for Route 66, you will realize I skipped over many sites that are common to what other people stop and see. I did stop at the iconic places too, but I wanted to discover what Route 66 had to offer beyond the highlights. I took hundreds of photographs over 4 days in Illinois, so what I presented here is just a fraction of what there is to see. I know many of my pictures here are snapshot grade and are not fine art photography, but it's not feasible to stop at every location and wait for the light and sky to turn into a magical moment. This is my very first video for YouTube, so comments are welcome, and don't forget to click the like button. I hope you will come back to my channel to see my upcoming presentations on the rest of Route 66. I promise that you will see some great photography from when I journeyed farther west along the Mother Road.